This is the Truckers Radio Podcast, where real drivers talk real issues and nothing gets sugarcoated. Today's topic, rules and reality of the road. Fatal accidents involving domiciled and non-domiciled drivers across America. Now, get ready for the truth from someone who's lived 30 years behind the wheel. Here is your host, Stacey Yearout. To be part of the conversation or to ask your question on the show, email us at thetruckersradio@gmail.com and follow along at thetruckersradiopodcast.com. This episode is powered by Sabren Group LLC.
Welcome to the Truckers Radio Podcast. Today, we got Mike from Texas, and we also got Mike from Georgia. Y'all with us?
Yes, sir.
All right. Today, we're going to chomp on the issue of the undocumented and non-domiciled driver again. Illegals being in trucks, driving up and down the road seems to be a hot topic nowadays. We're just going to keep reporting on it. I mean, I'm sorry, but I ain't trying to kick at everybody, but that's just one of the things out here that keeps happening, and it's got to stop. So what's your take on it there, Mike?
Well, Stacey, I could tell you, I don't feel like, some may say that you're beating a dead horse, but I don't feel that you are, because it's become so popular that you go on social media, the norm now for short videos, whether they're reels on Facebook, a short on YouTube, you see AI videos being produced of non-domicile drivers, preferably Middle Eastern and Indian and such of descent. I've seen one the other day where they're sitting there fishing for a CDL out of the old crab claw game, where you used to reach down with a crab claw and get the stuffed animal. They're trying to go and get their CDLs, then it has California plastered across it. I mean, this is a hot topic for all news. People need to be made aware of this, because when they see one truck driver do wrong, they feel that it's every truck driver out there, and they categorize us as a whole and not looking at the individual as the problem.
You definitely got a point there. It seems like California at top of the list has made a mockery of our federal CDL, commercial driver's license. They just pretty much put them in vending machines, just like they were making fun of on YouTube, putting the CDL in vending machines and just kind of saying, hey, come and get it. Put your money in, here you go. And that seems to be pretty much the going pace, and they just keep fighting against it. I seen the other day where they was pulling some of their, $30-40 million of their funding because they won't comply. So they're blatantly doing this, knowing they're putting people at risk. So they don't care. That's point blank, front and center, period. Mike from Texas, what do you think on it?
Well, I think they just, the government, meaning certain states, Democrats, I hate to say it, but they make rules up as they go along. And this rule's been in the FMCSA, for years. You got to speak English to drive a commercial vehicle. And frankly, I think you should have to speak English and be able to read English. Well, if you read it, you could probably speak it, but you should be able to read English just to drive any type of vehicle.
Yes.
I don't think that if you need a license to drive a vehicle,
absolutely,
you need to be able to read the language, because there's signs that are written in English. You don't come to our country here and dictate your language. You're coming here. Try to go over to China and tell everybody to speak American, see where you end up.
Right. Yeah, tell me about it.
And to add to Mike's point, I've seen where they've actually started bringing out children's book at the scales and saying, here, read this out loud.
Oh, yeah, that Cat in the Hat. Do you see where they switched it up on them?
Yeah, the green eggs and ham.
Yeah.
As a backup.
They switched it up on them. I was like, oh, I bet they do this.
I think that's an easy test.
It is an easy test. Give them
the rule book. Give them the FMCSA rule book. Isn't that what we're supposed to know as professional drivers? Let them read that.
That's for sure. And that's the thing. You got to be able to know the rules, regulations, FMCSA. Where do we draw the line? And that's the biggest problem is, we got so many accidents. This stuff, and it's just not the non-domicile drivers. We're seeing drivers out of American drivers too. And a lot of that's just, we've got a hell of a mess here with these CDL meals and lack of training. Not to mention, you throw into the gouge, selling CDLs in multiple states across the United States. They're just asking for a hell of a mess here. And it's starting to come to a head. And people are losing their lives when it's coming to a head.
I mean, how would you like it if you go in for a surgery, your appendix is hurting, you go in and guess what? Your surgeon just was able to read Cat in the Hat. So he's able to open you up. But he can't read that medical journal. You going to feel comfortable with his dull spoon?
Oh, no. That might get a little antsy there. I'm not sure if I want somebody, I'm not even sure that I want somebody even trying to open me up that took the damn test and maybe failed it 2 or 3 times, let alone being able to read it. I think they ought to list it. How many times, test 1, test 2, test 3. It's a malpractice lawsuit where the guy took the state board for his medical license like 43 times. I forget what state it was in. It just kind of blowed my mind that he was even allowed to take that test that many times without having to go back to school or something to that degree.
These rules are in place for a reason. It's not like everybody's saying you can't come here. They're not saying you can't come. They're saying you got to follow a procedure, just like anywhere else. You got to follow a procedure to go in the bank and get money out of your own account, right? You got to show them ID. You got to fill out a little slip, make a withdrawal. You got to do it that way. You just can't jump over the counter and grab your money.
Yeah, you might be going to jail. Depends on if you live.
Right.
It really depends on where you're from, though. I mean, if you're here illegally, they let you go. How much money did you get? They don't even give a shit. Now, if it was me or you went in there, jumped over the counter, we'd be looking at federal prison, period. There's always a day pass, or has been in the past, a day pass for illegals and people that's just, under Biden's America, we wouldn't, my son's a police officer and he'd tell me, we're not allowed to bother them. If they pull them over, they don't have a driver's license, they don't have insurance, we're just not allowed to bother them. We have to let them go. I couldn't believe it. And he was so mad because, hell, he, he's like us. He don't like it either, but, he's forced. They have to leave him alone. They're not allowed to touch him. It wasn't under Biden's America. When the Biden administration was in, and that went across the country, multi-law divisions nationwide. It was the Wild West. There's no wonder they don't want to abide by the rules now. Look what they've been allowed to do in the past 4 years before now.
Well, that should put the radar detector business out of business, right? You go speed, just tell them no English, no insurance. Oh, I'm from Mexico, or I'm from Venezuela, or India, and I could say wherever, Germany. I could say wherever I'm from, and just say I don't know English, and just they'll let me go. You can't do nothing.
I don't think that's going to work under the Trump administration, Mike.
Oh, well, thank goodness.
That was only under the Biden.
You might end up in handcuffs doing that under the Trump administration.
Yeah, I think that only happened under the Biden administration and maybe even Obama. Might as well say, hell, Obama was one running the country back then. Hell, I don't even think Biden even knew he was in the friggin' White House half of the time.
No, that was Obama's third term, pretty much.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And then they had that auto pen that, hell, half the shit they pushed through, they didn't even know it. He didn't even know he was in the world. He was over there in the corner shitting on himself or something. I ain't trying to disrespect a previous president that was in office, but I really ain't got a whole lot for him, just to be real blunt about it.
Well,
I never looked at him as a president.
Here's the thing, Stacey. He was an active president, and I will say that because he was, but I don't feel he was worth respecting. I'm sorry. I'll just come right out and say it. And solely because it was proven that he was placed into the presidency. He didn't win.
Well, that's what I was just fixing to say. It's kind of hard to respect the winner of the poker game when he took all your money and he cheated to get it.
It's like human beings elect presidents and write rules and things. They're all human, just like you and I. So you know what? If I choose to say I never looked at him as a president because he cheated, that's it ain't going to make no difference to anybody else. It's just an opinion, you know?
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. You know, they cheated the man in the office for a reason. I mean, a lot of people would still kick and scream and swear that, oh, it didn't happen. And, you know, that's your opinion, and I have mine. You know, we really don't normally go down the rabbit hole on politics. And we're just touching a little base on it, not a lot. And I don't really want to get into politics because it's a shitty subject. You know, quite frankly, everybody has got an opinion and they don't always line up. So, I mean, we all have views and everything, but I think we kind of have to look at it, and it's a direct link to what's happening right now. You know, we got a whole bunch of people running up and down the road out here that has got bogus driver's license that shouldn't even have driver's license, and they're getting smart. You know, they're starting to learn how to go around these scales. They're starting to learn, hey, run at night. You know, they're not stupid. They're learning how to avoid DOT, and they're keeping track of where, you know, they're pulling everybody into the scales. You know, DOT can only do so much. ICE can only do so much. It wrangling up these drivers. So you've got thousands and thousands of people still out here running around with bought CDLs. I mean, whether they
maybe
know
we
how
just
to read,
need to start an organization, Stacey, not to be rude and interrupt, but, you know, they got TAT, Truckers Against Trafficking. Why can't we do an organization against this? Because it would benefit every trucker of every ethnicity that is here and has legal CDLs to get rid of the non-legal CDL holders because of the carnage that they're causing. We can start an organization within the industry to sit there and look out for these guys and start calling things in.
It also disrespects the professional driver that is from the United States. You work hard to keep your CDL.
You darn right.
You got endorsements. You got to take tests. You definitely got to take. You better learn how to read English. You take that hazmat exam. You know, if you ain't gonna go pay somebody going to take it for you with a disguise on, like they've been doing. You know,
right?
I mean,
I didn't know that was an option.
You got to stay in shape. I mean, there's a lot to do with this license. It ain't just walk in like you get a regular Class D license. It just disrespects the professional driver, which then transcends into disrespect all down the pike for the truck driver.
Well,
I mean, it sets a tone.
Right, it does. And I do want to say one thing to clarify. You know, when we say, you know, the American driver, you know, if you came here from another country and you did it the right way, we consider you an American.
You're an American. Absolutely.
Okay, I do want to clarify
that's what I mean.
that.
Yeah.
We're not trying to kick it at anybody that's other nationality or anything like that. You know, we embrace everybody. As long as you're here and you've done what it takes to get the CDL, you learned the English, you learned the rule book, you got trained. Hey, my hat's off to you, and I'd help you any way I could.
Welcome to the family.
You damn right.
Exactly.
Welcome to the family.
Welcome to the family. You know, but like what he was talking about, you know, when you've got thousands of people coming into the industry that just walked over there and bought their might as well bought it out of a vending machine, it's kind of like devaluing the dollar on the truck driver. I mean, look at our rates. Look at everything that's going on right now. You know, and you can't help but to wonder, was that done out of design for the former administration?
I feel people can disagree with me if they wish. I feel that the previous administration wanted total carnage of this country, as did the Obama administration, without going down this rabbit hole too far. The Biden administration pretty much proved it. They want total carnage because without total carnage, they can't come in and take over and create a police state of socialism and control you. And if anything, it should be proving that now, where they have the government shut down and people are complaining about their SNAP benefits not being effective because of the government shutdown. I'm like, let this be a lesson to you. You want to sit there and say, be at a No King rally, and then the next day you're screaming for them to feed you. You know, let it be a lesson that you want to sit there and say, I want a government that feeds us, but then when they close it down, they could starve you. People need to wake up. And that's what the Democratic Party, in my humble to never be considered opinion, does, is they mind wash people to believe that, oh, we'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. You need to take care of yourself. That's what this country was founded on, is, free willing and able-bodied people that will go out and work and create a living for themselves. And that's where people need to get back to. Well, this is not a country meant for lazy people.
On another note there too is, becoming dependent and solely dependent upon a government, whether a Democrat or Republican, either one, unless it is out of your control. And I do understand there's people out here that can't work. They're disabled. I get it. They have certain circumstances, and hey, by all means, I understand you deserve and need the help. That's what the system was set up to do, is to help people in need. But we've got far too many people, I think, abusing the system. I'm going to word it to that degree.
I agree.
And
I feel these benefits could be better used for, like you just said, people that are, whether they're mentally disabled, say a veteran coming back from war and they're severe PTSD and they can't work. By all means, I will pay my taxes, I will donate, and I will take care of that veteran. I will take care of the elderly that has taken care of us when we were children. I will take care of people that cannot take care of themselves. But when you're an able-bodied person who is just basically lazy, I can't abide that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in there just sitting playing video games and looking out the window and screaming at people online and you're too damn lazy to get up and go to work, yeah, no, that's not it. To me, I think you should have to work. I hear a lot of people complaining that they've put in, I guess they got to work, 20, 30 hours a week or volunteer or something. I forget exactly what it was. Under the new rules of the big beautiful bill and all that. Well, you know what? I work 70 hours a week and then come home.
Absolutely, Stacey. I almost want to jokingly say I remember my first part-time job too.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing too. I have to pass federal drug test to make the money to pay the taxes that pays your benefits. And I think, you know what? You should have to pass a drug test too. If I do, you do. That's only fair. I mean, you can call it whatever, but it's only fair. If I have to be readily available to pass a drug test at any given time, so should you. It should be
there's
on an extent of, like, if you're on probation. Probation officers show up at your house at any given time. And I think they need to do spot checks with that too. I'm sorry, but because it's not fair to me and it's not fair to you or anyone else. And I'm not trying to disrespect anybody. Right's right and wrong's wrong. And that's the way I've taught my kids growing up. I raised 5 boys, and that's the way I believe. Right's right and wrong's wrong. And if I'm going out there contributing taxes and you're getting assistance, they need to be some rules, because it ain't a free-for-all. It ain't a free-for-all for me to make money. Actually, it's hard to make money. It's hard to keep money that you make, because taxes that help, generate the things that pay for food stamps and so forth. And by all means, I am not trying to disrespect food stamps, by no means am I saying that. So
I don't think it sounds like you are, Stacey. I don't think you're disrespecting them at all, because I want to tell you, I used to be on food stamps not much more than 14, 15 years ago. Believe it or not, as a truck driver. I won't say which company I was working at. And my daughter was getting ready to be born. We filled out everything totally honestly with what I made. And, I had child support from a previous relationship I was in, with what I paid out in child support, because I was raised not to be a deadbeat dad. take care of your kids the best you can. What I paid out in child support, what she made, and what I brought in left over. After that, we qualified for $700 a month in food stamps. And it's meant to get people on track, like you had said earlier in this discussion. And I don't have a problem with people using benefits that are starting out, that are young, that are trying to get on track. Maybe they're going to school and they're training to do something. The program is meant to help people. What it's not meant to do is be a career choice for lazy people.
Right. That's my problem with it. And and there's not but a handful of people that do that. I'm quite sure that, the people that spoils it for everybody else. And that's the problem is, you get people that spoil it for people that do need it, and then there's cuts made that affects everyone. And then the people that's abusing it's the ones you always hear screaming about it. They're pissed off about it. They've never had to get a job. I know a lady right now. She is in her late 60s. She has never had a job, ever. She totally lives upon the system and has her entire life. But I mean, if you want to know how to get something, you can call her up and she'll walk you through it tic-tac-toe. Now, she knows her shit. She's a smart woman when it comes to knowing how to milk the system, how to get the best bang for out of the state or the system or federal or whatever it is. She's got multiple degrees where she has went to college because used to, I'm not sure if they still do it or not, they would have a lot of extra money left over when they get their school money. And she would just simply go to school because she was bored and it was extra money. It was a career, literally. It was a career for her. I mean, the woman's got a master's degree, teaching degree to teach school and has never worked a day in her life. I know this woman.
That's crazy.
I mean, in her entire life, she has sat on a check her entire life. Period. It will not.
And you got to ask yourself, how does that happen?
Well, I mean, she looked me right in my eyes. She said why she does not work is she would lose her benefits. She said
I've heard that before.
She said that to me with a straight face. But you have
I've heard that from numerous people. But my point is where are the officials in the state government? Because this is, let's face it, state to state, in the programs here. Where are these officials at in these state governments that are not paying attention to these people? Or is it a budgetary thing where if they get so many people on the program, that means they get a bigger budget from the Federal Reserve next year or some crap like that? I don't got a degree in economics, but I'm wondering how this works. Like how they can justify someone over 60 years, and probably a minimum of at least 40 of that, she's been on the system collecting a check, and that hasn't raised a red flag?
Well, no, it hasn't raised a red flag because she votes blue.
Wow. I mean, strong point. Point.
Here's the thing. These people that run in Democratic Party right now, they ain't got a lot going for them. So they got to use any angle that they can use. And if that means playing dirty, giving money, promising.
Oh, they good at that.
Lying for most part. They lie and say, we'll give you this or give you that, and you'll only get a third of it. They promise the world, kicking the doors open on the borders, all that. They really thought they were going to get all these people in here and get them, because they had a hard push trying to get it legal for the illegals to vote in our country. I mean, let's go to a foreign country and do that, and they would behead you. Their elections are very serious. They would behead you. But apparently they thought it was okay to try to push for that in the United States. Well, it didn't work here either. It's just ridiculous. There again, I normally am not big into politics. I I don't like talking about it. It's a shitty situation regardless, but this directly affects what we're looking at here. You know, all these
I think it
wrecks.
does.
And, you know, the non-domicile drivers, you know, we've got this one right there in California, 3 dead, 4 injured. You know, they've charged the guy with, you know, unlawful, even being in the United States, lawful presence of the United States. No CDL.
Wasn't he the one that was under the influence of narcotics?
Yes. And there again, when you bought a damn CDL, well, I guess you ain't got to participate in the damn drug testing community either.
Well, I mean, how can they have you post for a random drug test when you don't exist? You're a ghost.
Yeah, exactly. There was one of them last week. I think it was in Illinois. The guy killed. They did either Indiana or Illinois. He had an accident. He killed somebody, and it was illegal. He didn't have a CDL. He took his brother's driver's license, and that was a big thing. He didn't even have a CDL. He thought that was okay. That kind of leads me back into, you might want to be able to read English. You might know that. Kind of go back to what Mike from Texas's point there. If they could read that green book called FMCSA, you know, they might know what's going on here. The biggest issue here, safety, and they're running our industry into the ground. The reason our rates has took a hit for the last 2, 3, 4 years is we're bombarded with all these illegal drivers. If I didn't have to take a damn drug test, and I didn't have to take physical, and I could just run any way I wanted to, and I didn't really get bothered, I could probably run a couple of logbooks. If I ain't got a real CDL, hell, it ain't going to matter if I get a ticket, because hell, I ain't going to pay it anyway.
Right. You just don't get another CDL next week.
Yeah, just go buy me another one with all the money that I make. You know, that's the problem. Is just there's no consequence to a guy that ain't got nothing to lose. You know?
I mean, they sit there and say it's all e-log now. I'm like, well, hell, you can buy more than one tablet.
Oh, you can make multiple logins. There's companies. I talked to a company that wanted me to lease my truck on with them up out of Chicago, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. I hauled a load for them that one of their tractors had broke down. I went and picked the load up and took it onto where it was going. And they were trying to, hey, you know, you got a nice truck. Hey, you know, would you be interested in bringing it over? Oh, I'll buy you whatever you want. And, you know, we'll work it out and da-da-da-da. And he kind of pulls me off to the side, and he's like, you got to run e-log. He said, we got it fixed for e-log. I said, really? He said, oh, yeah. He said, we just make you multiple logins, multiple driver IDs.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can run multiple tablets or multiple logins, like you said. And I mean, not for nothing, back in the day, you know, we used to, when the e-logs were first implemented, and as an owner-operator, we had to have them, shoot, you can edit the drive time as mine. I got pulled over one day, and my logbook was legal, everything, because it was an e-log, but the only difference is I could be my own safety manager because I was technically an owner-operator. I booked my own loads, and I could edit my own stuff. That was the program I ran. Utah Scales down there, you know the one down there at on Highway 6, down south of Spanish Fork down there, going towards 70.
Oh,
yeah, it's out in the middle of nowhere. Yep, lady pulled me in there and stopped me and said, I know yours is editing because, you know, and she's right, most e-logs will sit there and say 1.5 miles east northeast of this city, where I was literally typing the cities in like you would on a traditional log. I got shut down and then had to recomply with a new logbook. And the people I released with, they were really upset about it. I said, there ain't nothing we can do about it. They kind of got us by the short curlies here, you know, and...
Well, you know, I mean,
you know, we tried to go ag exempt, but we did too much commercial on that side to let it happen.
That just goes to show you
It's-
I could cheat the damn paper log books way better than
Yeah.
I had an old boy over at New Mexico, and like I said, I'm not proud of this, but back in the day, hell, I'd run 2 or 3 damn log books. I worked for this one company. I run a dedicated route out of a defined destination place to California, around San Francisco, down to LA and back in about 5.5 days. I went through 4 packs of those loose leaf log books a month doing that.
Goodness
Yeah.
gracious. I thought I was bad because I was going through 1.5, 2 packs myself.
No, I'm going to tell you, that guy over there, I just had left Amarillo. I had to stop out there at the Big Texan and get me a big ass steak. Mike knows all about that. He likes that Big Texan. I turned him loose on that down there. I thought we was going to drag him out there by his heels, by his feet. But I got over at that, hit that scale, New Mexico, and level 1 shakedown. I went in the building, boy, they was just going through that logbook. Finally, that guy, he just shoved that logbook right across the table and says, "All right, get out here." It's all right, thank you, sir. Well, when I went out the door, another DOT dude followed me out the door. He said, "Come here, son." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Buddy," he said, "I know what you're doing." And he said, "Now I'm going to catch you with your pants down." I said, "You have a good day, sir." And I went home to the truck and I got the hell out of there. I mean,
Yeah. I ran across an old boy like that down in Pueblo, Colorado. I'll never forget that day, man. We were known because we ran cattle out of Southwest Kansas, and I come through there one day. I had a reefer trailer on to go pick up a different load, and I'd come out of Southwest Kansas, and I told him I went up through and I missed my turn. I had to hit through the scales in Lyman on 70. I didn't have no choice to get turned back around. I come back down, got on the road I needed to be, and come back down through Pueblo and hit them scales down there. And he's sitting there fingering through my logbook, and he went back the full, was it 14 days? I think it is. And since I've been on e-logs for so long now, I forget. But I think it's, 14 days. So, yeah, he was trying to find something wrong. And so he started questioning me. He's like, "So where are you coming out of?" I said, "Over here in Kansas." And he asked where the town was, because it was a small town. It's called Jetmore, Kansas. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Where exactly is that?" And I said, it's between Ness City and Dodge City. And he was like, "Are you trying to be some kind of smart ass?" I said, well, no. I said, "You got an atlas? I'll show you where it's at." I said, "It's off of, this highway over here." That's about the best I can tell you. If you know where Dodge City is, it's between there and Ness City. He's like, "All right." He's like, "Where are you heading?" I said, down here. He's like, "Okay." And he was like, "Which way did you come?" I said, "Well, I came up through this way, and I made a turn over here, and I went through Lyman, and came down through Lyman because I missed my turn. And that's why I went through Lyman, and I came back down through this way." He kind of smiled, and he was like, "All right, yeah, you're telling the truth." He's like, "I know which way you came." So I kind of figured you did, because your scales are linked to Lyman. And he just kind of looked up at me, nodded, and I was like, he's like, "How long did it take you to get over here from Jetmore to over here?" And I looked at that log and pointed. I said, "About how long that logbook said I did." He shoved that logbook at me. He's like, "Son, get the hell out of here." I said, "Yes, sir. You have a good day."
right.
He was looking. He was trying hard.
Oh, Colorado. They used to be bare back in the day. They did.
Oh, man.
I'm telling
Well, and we had a reputation with that company. Yeah, man, did we have a reputation. I got DOT'd 8 times in one freaking year. And I don't mean just a paperwork check. They knew who we were.
Yeah.
We ran refrigerated and we ran cattle. And I ain't afraid to say it. We were outlaw AF back then.
Oh, yeah.
And so they knew about us.
Well, it was about the way it was. When Robert worked for me, I actually had Robert with me that one day there. We was taking a load out to California. And that was when probably one of the few times I ever went through the lineman scales I didn't get DOT'd. Got in a hurry coming out the ramp and blow the damn turbo on that big Classic I had. And I limped that sumbitch over to the Flying J. That's where me and Robert sat over there. We pulled the turbo off. I called over at Louisville, Kentucky, and ordered me another one. Had it overnighted to the Flying J there. We had everything all ready.
Is it Louisville or Louisville?
It is Louisville. Yeah, hell, I live in Kentucky, so we're going to go with the slang. That's Louisville.
I've always heard it called Louisville. So.
Right. I think it's actually meant to be pronounced Louisville, but you know, when you're from somewhere, you just slang it the way everybody calls it. But we overnighted that turbo to the Flying J, and then I had the other one ready to go back in the box for the core return. But anyway, we changed that was back when you could still work on the damn truck, man. I carried enough tools, man, I could fix about anything you wanted to fix on a truck, put a turbo on them, but now you got the damn, you know, computerized actuators and like all your ISXs, you know.
Oh, God, yeah.
That geometrical blooming onion turbo, I call it. You know, you got to put it on the computer to set it up, and you just can't change them like that anymore. But back in the day, I could rebuild a good old 60 series Detroit for about $9,000 or less. But you could actually work on the damn trucks back then. You know, I worked on them pretty much myself a lot of times. If it's something I could fix, I fixed it. If not, I just run it in the shop and get it fixed. But you save yourself a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of BS. You know, how far I would have had to have that truck towed to get it into the Freightliner dealership, into damn Denver. You imagine what that would have cost me, even back then.
Well, yeah, I mean, the only one close enough near there was the TA and Lyman that could work on a Freightliner, and then the Freightliner dealership was over there in Denver, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Well, you know, yeah. But anyway, it's definitely, you know, back in the day, you know, the Detroits is a whole lot different nowadays. You know, I think that new truck Mike from Texas here it's got that DD15 in it. What kind of mileage you getting out of that truck now, Mike?
9 flat for the last 30,000 some odd miles.
That's awesome.
I'm telling you, I'm not trying to be brand Pacific or any of that, but that Freightliner with that DD15 in it's a money-making truck if you know how to run it. You can't run it down the road 80 mile an hour, 70, all that. You got to run that truck right. Run at 62 mile an hour religiously, get it conditioned. And you're still pulling a step deck flatbed, ain't you? Because that's even more drag right there. You put you a good dry box or a reefer behind that where you got some good wind, you know, and all your wind dams and everything under the trailer. You'd probably get upward of 10 and a half.
I'd be interested to see what that truck would do pulling a cattle pod behind it, because that's like pulling a parachute behind you, all them open holes.
Yeah.
You know, cattle pods by far got to be the worst wagon to pull when it comes to fuel economy.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. You know, back in my days of pulling tanks, man, that was probably one of the most efficient. That smooth
tanks are great.
Tank, you know, that was pretty good.
I miss being an old tanker yanker, man. I liked hauling a tanker.
Oh, I did too. I loved it, man. It's just one of them things, man. It's once you get it in your blood, but unfortunately, I just get tired of dealing with DOT and hazmat and all that.
I said we did food grade back in the day when I did it. It wasn't as bad.
Right.
Hauled a lot of corn syrup and yeast and stuff like that, vinegar and all that sorts of stuff.
Right. So, Mike, how's that truck doing for you anyway, mechanical wise? Everything still holding up pretty good for you?
Yeah. I mean, it's you treat it right. I mean, I maintain it pretty well, so really ain't got no complaints on it. I mean, it's not a, you know, we used to call them throwaway trucks, I think, right? And I think it's the way to go these days. I mean, rebuilding engines and all that, you're going to rebuild the DEF before you rebuild the engine. And the way that these repair shops are these days, I mean, you're better off just getting a warranty and kind of following what the mega carriers do. When they get a certain mileage, get rid of it. Get back under the warranty.
Right.
Protect you.
Definitely a lot different than the way we used to do it. You know, you could rebuild a truck for a relatively good price. You could afford to work on them. You had decent rates at mechanic shops and all that. I mean, nowadays, everybody wants $50 an hour to go to work, and then they don't want to work when they get there. I mean, it's just the labor cost alone in a lot of your places. But
it's hard enough to even find these shops to even grease a truck right. I mean, I got to sit under there like a babysitter and make sure that they that's your job. You should know these trucks.
Exactly.
And if you're paying somebody to do something, you shouldn't miss it. Hey, I get it. Nobody's perfect, but if you're missing it every time, 9 times out of 10, and it ain't because you know how,
right.
It's laziness.
Well, I think a lot of times too, they look, and this was something I was talking about on one of the Q&A podcasts that I was doing with Leah. Guy emailed in, was asking about, maintenance and so forth. And I said, one of the number one things you got to do is you got to educate yourself on these trucks. Because if you don't know what you're doing, you're a sitting duck. If you don't know whether they're doing it right, or if you're not watching and you don't know enough about mechanical stuff with the truck to let them know, then they're not going to do it. But you can watch them. The minute they figure out what you're talking about and you're pretty mechanically knowledged, they start pulling out all the stops. You can pay attention to them and you can see that. If they can get by with it, they're going to get by with it.
Yeah.
Do the right job. Or at least most of them try to do it. And I'm not going to say it's the way across the board. There's good, the bad, the ugly in all of them, regardless of the fact.
The good ones are just harder to find.
Unfortunately, yes. The bad outweighs the good sometimes. They got that wreck that happened down in Boreen, Texas, right there, I-10, with a pickup struck a disabled 18-wheeler. That was kind of a jacked up situation. The guy said he had mechanical electrical failure and had no lights until moments before impact. That's right outside of San Antonio there.
Not convenient.
Yeah. I just don't think he had them on, but that's just my opinion. I can't say that for sure. But, it happens. That's most definitely a big issue here is, mechanical issues. And that's the big thing with your non-domicile drivers. They just don't give a shit. They're rolling up and down the road with a CDL, Jack CDL. They're not paying insurance on most of this unless they're just, they got their own authority or something. They don't care.
Well, why would they care if you don't have to?
Right.
If you don't have to care, just like you said earlier with the logbook. If you could run wild with a logbook, who's going to care? Nobody else does as well.
Well, if you get a ticket and, it's a bought CDL, are they really going to revoke it? No. Hell, what are they going to do with it? It shows active, but what are they going to do with it? Is California ever going to put that on the record? That's the thing that really grabs me is the amount of effort that California puts out in their scale houses, banning and, all these scales, they're so strict. And everybody dreaded to go into California, especially back in the day, but DOT was just all over you.
And I take care of my truck, and I still go out of the way to avoid banning.
Right.
To this day.
But look at what they're doing with the CDLs. It makes it's a 360 degrees turn there. It's like they just don't give a rat's ass about safety or people dying. But it just basically, and I'm going to point this out, the scales ain't nothing but a money grab. Okay, if the rest of the state, the CDL Department of Federal Motor Carriers, don't give a shit about the CDLs and stuff, what are the scales doing? They're not about safety. It's a money grab. That's exactly what it is. It's the way they fund their government, the way they fund their officers, and the way they fund their departments. California's broke. Everybody's known that for years. they're constantly giving out money and stuff and then screaming for federal funding and everything else. And where they're such a large state, they get a lot of funding. But they're fixing to get some of it, cut down. All right, we got Sam from Ohio just called in, caller here. He's been on the podcast before. I think you remember him, don't you, Mike?
Who's that?
Sam from Ohio.
Sam, yeah.
Oh yeah. What's up, Sam?
Hey, how you been, man?
Not too bad. You doing all right?
Oh yeah, just working, man.
Right on.
Just working, trying to make that money.
Oh yeah.
But that's what we were talking about, Sam, is bringing you up to speed. We're just kind of talking about the non-domicile drivers again. California, how they just don't really care. They're getting in trouble not complying with the federal motor carriers and Trump administration on the Trump administration on the non-domicile ban. So I seen the other day that they had gotten shut down on $40 million worth of their funding, and they're going to keep hitting them until they start complying. And me and Mike was just addressing, how strict all the scales and how strict their DOT is, the roadside inspections and all, CHP, the whole 9 yards. To me, if they're not going to give a shit anywhere else, that ain't nothing but a money grab. The scales is just set up for a money grab. If they're not going to care, they're selling CDLs, giving anybody and everybody a CDL, even if they're not even here legally. They're just simply using the scales and all that as a money grab. I mean, there ain't nothing else they can say. You can't just scream safety and be strict and all this and find all these people and then open the door over here and just let anything go over here.
You just got to follow the money, man. That's what all the problem is in this country right now, the money. And you got to think about it when logic goes out the window and you say, why would they do this? Like, why would nobody in their right mind would, like, why do you want illegals to have health care under our dime? Why? There's no logical reason. All that's going to do is put stress on the American people because you want power. You don't care about the American people. You want the power. Power comes in the vote. You get them Democratic seats, and that's where all the problem is right now, is the money. Everybody's following that money,
right? And
they're gonna sell us out, as most of these politicians. And that's what I got to say, and I'm from Texas, but I'll tell you what, I'm with Trump 150,000%.
Right. That's for sure. Because I grew up.
He cares.
Oh yeah, he does. A man wouldn't be going through all the shit that he's going through if he didn't care. A lot of people say,
if I had his kind of money, I wouldn't have that. I don't have his courage. I admit it.
Mm-hmm.
I admit it. I don't have that kind of courage. I admire that man, because if I had his money, I'd be in an island somewhere. I wouldn't see a blip of the news or nothing.
Yeah, I'd be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But look at him. He's got that. And what's he doing? He got taking bullets. Some people, after the indictments, would have said, forget it. I'm done. This is too much stress.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Ain't gonna find nobody like him in our lifetime.
No. And then the media portrays it like, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that, because I feel like they just want us all against each other. They want a civil war. They want everybody against each other. And, they don't want him to be back in there again. Somebody said he could run another term. I was like, can he really? Yeah, I didn't know that.
He said it best. He was, I forget who they were roasting, but he was at some big dinner that all these people go to. And he said, when I was a Democrat, y'all were my best friend. You said that I was, you invited me to visit with your children. You invited me to your home. You always wanted my money, and, and I donated to your cause. He said, but the minute that I went to run as president as a Republican, I was a no good, dirty, rotten scoundrel. So what does that tell you? Like, what did he do in between being your friend and then now? Nothing. All he did was he's like, oh, well, let's just get some truth out here. But all your so-called buddies, Yeah, they weren't playing by the rules. They weren't for the truth. So now, you're a threat. You from friend to threat. It's so obvious. And as far as the illegal stuff, the illegal immigration, it's such a question that's kind of irritating in a way, because why are we even having the conversation? Like, are we getting to the point where we're that in our brains that we can't just see what's happening and just say, man, this is just night and day. Hey, you come here legally. This is the rules. This is what happens. You go to jail. You get sent back where you came from. Try again. I don't understand it. Where's the logic anymore?
Well, a lot of them was volunteered to go back because they know if they get caught and sent back, they ain't allowed to come back legally. I think that is the main reason why some of them do go back, is because if they get caught and they get sent back by ICE, they get disqualified. They can't ever apply to come back legally. And I think that's a fair reason for me. I always sit and think, man, what if I snuck into another country without anybody knowing I was in that country, without somebody knowing that I was there, not to mention try to vote in one of their elections, and then go over there and burn their flag. And, do you think I'd make it out alive? I don't know that I'd make it 24 hours. Somebody'd have me hung at high noon. Most of these countries hold their flag, and that's a death sentence. You burn one of their flags, man, that's a death sentence. They don't play with that.
And they're doing it in our nation's capital. They're so brazen to do it right in our nation's capital, to say, what are you going to do? Basically, you're not going to do nothing.
And,
I will say this, though. I just thought of this. I'll give the non-domiciled driver credit for if there's any consolation. I give you got some cojones to come here not knowing how to read, and you want to drive a semi-truck on these roads. Could you imagine going to China? And even with experience, and you go over there and everything's written in Chinese, how are you going to get to your destination?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. But, how long that, GPS, mine's wrong every day. I'm the one in control of the truck. I use it for it to arrive that time. I just say, oh, yeah, okay, you agree with me? Fine. I'm the boss, though, when it comes to that. But these guys, they just plug it. How many times it's wrong?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It's just imagine, like, you're going somewhere and they say, take this over here, and you're looking for an address, and it's all written in Chinese. And you miss the address. Yeah, as well as I do. You could drive these trucks and you miss the turn. It might take you 20 miles to turn around.
Well, and hell, look at how much trouble we have putting stuff together with Chinese directions, let alone trying to drive and rig. That's the damn truth of it right there. If you buy something off of Temu, you might as well forget it. Just throw the damn directions in the garbage. They ain't no translating that shit. It probably ain't even damn Chinese any damn way. It's probably some damn
Be a man
shit.
and look at the picture anyways.
Well, half of them don't even put pictures on the shit anymore. They just put the writing down there, especially if you buy it off Temu.
Oh, boy.
Well, I see we got Mike back.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry about the absence there. The wife was calling me on her way home. She had questions about the dog kennel.
I heard that.
Yeah, we're trying to do a fill in there because the bottom of the ground's getting muddy from the kennel. And I said, well, everything slopes downhill. And I said, the only thing, honestly, that's not going to get muddy is if we fill it with gravel or sand, preferably gravel, because sand will wash out quicker. But 3/4 inch minus. And I said, build it up to a certain point and then lay a mat on it, a rubber mat that we can pressure wash and clean. It would be the best bet.
Right.
Because you know how a dog is, man. Dog's going to pee and poop on stuff and trample the grass down to nothing. There ain't no avoiding that.
Right. But back what we were talking about with the non-domicile drivers and stuff, you go over there and I wouldn't even attempt it. And I've got 30 years in the game. I could probably pull it off, but for how long? Most of these cats coming over here, they've never drove a truck. They have no clue what they're doing. They're handed a CDL. They're not put through any kind of learning school or nothing. And they just put them out on the roads. They here figure it out. She killed a few people, oh well. You know.
You're braver than I am, Stacey. If you'd go over there and try, I think there would be one type of job over there overseas that I'd want as a driver, and that would be only be like a taxi cab driver. I could turn a car around. You're talking in Europe, the streets are older than America. They ain't even made for big semi trucks over there, but yet they're figuring it out. So,
right.
I'd be a Guy Fieri over there, go around to different restaurants and let him drive me around.
There you go.
You know, I just give the thumbs up, thumbs down. Everybody knows what that means.
That's right.
Yeah. Be the food tester, all the different places.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. They got some cool ass
Oh, man.
food and stuff.
I'll tell you what, I'd get lost going back to Germany. I spent some time over there in my younger days. My stepdaddy was in the Army. I miss that German food. They got good food over there.
Mm-hmm. There used to be a little restaurant. I think it was a German restaurant over by the TA there in Nashville. We used to walk over there and get some German food every now and then. That was pretty good. I know Sammy.
Yes,
I will say this, like real quick, Stacey. I just wanted to add this real quick. You got to think, like, for them to come over here and even be willing to go and say, I never drove truck in their language, and I'm going to go and do this. It must be pretty bad there. Like, you can't make money and you want to come to the United States of America. You just got to think of it in those terms. I know we're always talking about the negative ramifications of them being here, but on the flip side of it too, think about also what they go through. I'm not trying to justify them being here illegally or anything.
I understand your point, Mike. I think you're making a good one. It is supposed to be a country you come to, whereas the harder you work, the more your dreams can come true. But you said it before, there's a procedure to go through. If you go through that procedure, hey man, fantastic. I'll be the first person out there trying to help you. Stacey and I have talked about this on a previous show. We will try to help you learn. This is a great career for somebody to make money. And how brave are they to sit there and do something in a different country they know nothing about? All
right.
Yes. Are we back?
Yep, we're back.
All right. Yeah, basically recapping there is Stacey and I were talking about that in a previous episode, Mike, where it is brave for them to want to come from another country to come over here because there is a language barrier. But, for example, say an immigrant comes here and they pass where I work. They have a large driver pool with a melting pot of different cultures. I've seen people come from Afghanistan, India, Africa, and so on. And we welcome all people. And I think that's great when someone wants to come from another country and make money here and live that dream. That's what this country was founded on. Me being a veteran, that's what I stood for and defended this country for, is those many freedoms. Like you had said, Mike, but there is a procedure to go through. The people that go through those procedure, I welcome with open arms and will always try to help, as do the other people in our country, as I'm sure you would, as Stacey and I had talked in previous episodes that we will as well. And to touch on your point earlier about would you go to another country to try to drive? I think you're absolutely correct. If you went to, say, a country like China or Japan or any other country for that matter, it would be extremely intimidating. Take Europe, for example. I've talked to several drivers and watched shows about drivers who drive in Europe. There is a huge difference of just say you live in France and you have a load to go pick up over in Germany. Will your fuel card work in Germany because you're now in another country? Do you speak German when you get there to get your load? If you don't speak German and they don't speak French, what is the common language of barrier that you're going to be able to communicate with? Do you guys both speak English? Or do you both speak Spanish? That is a common problem that we take for granted here in this country because we all speak English, or we're all supposed to. Over there, they do not. I watched a show where they're heavy rescue. They're based out of Finland. A guy from Germany came up there, got shut down by the Finnish police, and his truck was impounded. for several days and had to live out of his truck while the company in Germany was trying to pay the fine for him to get out of the repo lot. I mean, I couldn't imagine. And this guy didn't speak a lick the Finnish language. He was German. All he could speak was a little bit of English. And luckily for him, the Finnish spoke a little bit of English. So I agree with you. I think it would be extremely intimidating to go to another country and try to learn their systems and how to drive. I have friends that drive up in Canada. He's like, just acclimating yourself with the logbook differences is enough. And then in America, you may agree or disagree, but I feel like about 50 miles any direction you drive, you're going to hit a truck stop in this country. Damn near. If you go to Canada and you get to some of the provinces up there, say Manitoba and all that, Calgary, you might 2-3 hours before you hit another truck stop. You got to really plan accordingly. There's a lot of things drivers take for granted in this country. Not to say that we should be guilt tripping ourselves, just be appreciative of what we do have, and for all the other drivers who want to come out there, American or immigrant, who want to become drivers, and you do it the right way, I applaud you, because this is not a job for everybody. This is some people try to make it out to seem like a very simple job. Anyone can do it. Well, I mean, come try it. I went to a place today that was extremely difficult to get into. I'd like to see most people try to do what I did today, getting into this place with a conventional road tractor and a 53-foot trailer.
Sure, I do it every day. There's kind of crazy stuff up there. Do it every day. That's these guys, that's why you see them doing the U-turns. In fact, it just kind of brought that to my attention. It wasn't even a non-domiciled driver. It was an American driver, but you would think he would be trained better or this and that, but we just got a level of stupidity. We got a level of stupidity out here nowadays that is just unreal. I think we've all heard the other day of the Publix driver, day cab, doing a U-turn in the middle of the highway and the car ran under him, fatality. I'm not sure if the car ran the red light or not. Now, he was, in his defense, he was in one of those turn lanes. When he did that, I could see the markings on the ground. And, of course, they're going to make it out to be the truck driver's fault right out the gate.
Always is. But that's what they always do.
I ain't seeing a whole lot of publicized media about it, so that kind of tells me that maybe he wasn't at fault. Maybe the car ran the red light. But it still happened, and it's still another death. It's another fatality. And he couldn't, if that was the case, he couldn't help the car run the red light. But we're just seeing so much, and it's bringing the attention to everybody.
It's still a negative outlook on the industry.
And especially the one out there in California. Man, that guy right there, he just blatantly, he ran right through them cars. He didn't even hit the brakes. I mean, come on.
You see the dash cam on that? It was ridiculous. It was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm going to make a video and talk about that a little further later on for YouTube there. And it's just unreal. I mean, how do you just go and be so out of your mind on drugs that you don't even know to hit the brake? I mean, that's a natural body reaction, natural human reaction. When you see you're about to hit something, you're going to hit the brakes. It's just one of them things, unless you're so screwed out of your mind on drugs or alcohol. There again, when you don't have to follow the drug testing community because your CDL is not valid, it's not as bought, you're not with a valid company, they don't give a shit, they don't drug test you. It's the Wild West. And you're just, ain't nothing good going to come out of it. In fact, they're hurting a lot of the other drivers that did do it the right way, that are from other countries and stuff, because they're causing a lot of shade over on them guys. And it's not our fault.
Right. Arnold Schwarzenegger said it best, is when he looks to some of these, not drivers in particular, I don't want to misquote this, but he has looked at other people and said, you are what's giving immigrants a bad name, because a lot of people forget Arnold Schwarzenegger is an immigrant. A very one-time governor of California, very successful movie star, successful bodybuilder. And he is one of the toughest critics on immigration right now. He tells people, some of these people are, not to say a lot of some of, I'm sorry, excuse me, But some of these people are what's giving immigrants bad names, where there are good immigrants out there. I have met plenty of great immigrant families. As I first started driving in Chicago, Polish, some of the friendliest people I've ever met were Polish families going to pick up at some of their warehouses and stuff. Russian families, very friendly people. German families. There are good immigrants out there. And I don't think nobody's disputing that. What I feel is when you come do this job, we had a discussion about this at work. And when you come do this job, it is a professional standpoint. You need to be trained to do this job. Where this industry is falling away from that professional title, and it pisses me off, is because you get the truck driver out there, certain individuals, not all, that want to come out there in their tore up barbecue stained t-shirts and their jogging pants with their slides or flip-flops, hair not combed, and going up to a window and going, yeah, I'm here to pick up a load. Now, does that individual look professional?
No. Not at all.
Absolutely not. And that's where we're getting away from that professional title, and they're trying to label us unskilled labor, which is total bullshit in my book.
Well, if it was unskilled labor, why do we have all the regulations? They can't have their cake and eat it.
Exactly.
They can't have their cake and eat it.
Thank you.
We're unskilled labor.
Thank
you know what? Take that damn little green book and do away with it. Put it through the cheese grater. You know, if we're unskilled labor, you know, they're just trying to play down the dollar value of the truck driver. You know, and that's been done for years and years.
But they're also making a strong point to that industry, though, where you're getting some of these guys in these bigger companies. We're not going to down any one company, as we previously talked about, but they just look unprofessional. They're not dressed. I mean, at the very least, is it that hard to throw on a clean pair of blue jeans, work pants, and a clean t-shirt, or even a clean button-down shirt or polo, and make a better impression upon these vendors that you're picking up or customers picking up? Appreciate their business, because without them, you're not making money for your family.
Right.
You know, that goes back to what you were saying about the skilled labor, because if it wasn't skilled labor, then why would it be so hard to get people to actually be able to get behind the wheel and move that equipment around? So these carriers are willing to put anybody behind the wheel that can do it. If they're a slob, but they can drive, they're willing to put you behind the wheel because there's no choice. Now, if you had a line of guys with their tie on and shirt ironed and hair combed and, you know, groomed nicely, do you think that slob would have a job? No. But that goes right back to the point. It's not easy to do this job.
No, it's not.
No, and it's just like what I said the other day. You know, we have an issue when a lot of people play down and try to treat the truck driver like a third-class citizen. But you can't look and act and walk and talk like a third-class citizen and expect to be treated differently. You know, you're going to be treated accordingly to what you put forward. You know, and it's kind of like when you go out here and you wash and wax your car and you clean it up and armor all the dash and shine the tires up. Man, that damn car drives better. It feels better. It runs better. It gets better gas mileage. I mean, it's like a brand new car. And think about yourself in that same aspect. You know, go wash your ass. You know, put some nice clothes on and comb your hair, brush your teeth. You'll feel like a different kind of human being. You'll feel like a real and important human being and be, you know, it just, you bring attitude to yourself, whether it's negative or it's positive.
And God, for God's sakes, deodorant is not your enemy. Wear the deodorant.
Oh, yeah. Don't even get me started on deodorant. You know, I'm going to tell you. I raised 5 boys, and I'm going to tell you what. One of them boys come out of their room without some deodorant on, my little 5-foot wife would have her foot right in somebody's hind end.
Well, that's what it needs to be. I'm going through it with my young boy with his hygiene. I won't go into a lot of details, but by God, we are battling with his hygiene.
Oh, yeah.
And he's about one step removed from me stripping him down outside and just giving him a cold hose bath.
No, sometimes
he don't
that's
start
what it
acting
takes.
right.
Sometimes that's what it takes. You know, I had a student I'd done that way. I kept telling him, hey, come on, let's go get a shower. No, I'm good. We went a couple of weeks, you know, he may have took one shower. I caught his ass out in the damn fuel line. I just hosed him down. I said, man, I've smelled your stinking ass all I'm going to. I did. I hosed his ass down.
You
right
did
there.
it. No way.
You know I did it.
Oh, yeah, that's the scary part. I know you did.
Yeah, I don't play around.
Oh, my God.
Nope, I don't play around.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, the kid could drive. But I ended up taking him back to the terminal, and I said, I ain't taking him back. And he's like, well, we can't give you 100% credit on him. I said, I don't care. I said, I can't. I just can't.
Is that the same fellow that said, I guess he defecated in your seat? And he said, what? You said, what happened? He said, I farted. He said, that's no fart. Wasn't that him?
Yeah. He shit in my seat. I am not joking.
Oh, no.
We were over in Baltimore. I forgot about that. Leave it to Mike to bring this back up. Damn. This was a good one.
That was a memory you were trying to compartmentalize and forget about.
I'm over in the jump seat, and he's backing in, in Baltimore. And he got so worked up in Baltimore traffic, he shit in my seat. I am not kidding me. I can't make this shit up.
Yeah.
He shit in my damn seat. He got up, and there's a shit stain in my seat. And I said, what the
If it was Atlanta, I could understand.
Oh, my God, I was so mad.
Lysol wipes might not get that out, man. Oh, no.
Oh, I was mad. Oh, I was tore up.
Oh, I would have been mad. That I can see why you cold hosed, showered that cat outside the fuel island, man.
Oh, he'd go take a shower.
There ain't no damn way.
He'd go take a shower and he'd still stink when he come out. I kept asking, man, you got soap? You got, trying to hint, dude.
Yeah.
You need to do something besides what you're doing. And I'll tell you what.
You smell like a sack full of assholes, dude. I mean, you got to be doing something wrong.
And there ain't no call for that. There are no call for that. I mean, it is just, I don't know what
How can you not smell yourself? I am so self-conscious about how I smell out here as a driver because we constantly have customer interaction because of where I work. I mean, it's numerous customers a day. And if I start to smell bad, man, I'm like, I got to get in and get a shower. I got to do something to not smell bad. This is not going to work. If I can smell me, someone else can smell me.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder why we get treated like a third-class citizen. If you go, you're stinking so bad, they got to hold their breath to wait on you at the window. Or people have to step back outside of the office because they ain't with you, and the person on the other side of the glass can stand to be in the window in that room. You got a problem, man. And I know you smell that. I can just only imagine what your truck smells like. The guy shitting in the seat, man, I did kind of feel sorry for him. I mean, the kid could drive, and I took him back to the terminal, and I was nice about it. It was Christmas time. He went home for Christmas. I didn't really say much to him after that, after I chewed his ass over shitting in the seat, and I did make him clean that, and we put a big, double, tripled up towel over the seat, and I made him change the cushion in the seat of my damn truck when I got back, too. They had to go down to Freightliner dealership and get me another seat cushion for it. No, they was going to pay for that.
No, I don't blame you. That's dope.
But we put a plastic bag over the towel, everything else. I mean, I don't give a shit. I ain't doing it. But
you remember back in the beginning of your career, though, Stacey, where they give you somebody else's used truck? I remember one time we had to go recover a truck from a repo lot. I'm not going to mention the company's name. And we had to drive up to Michigan to go get this truck. I climbed inside this truck. It was so trashed and so nasty. I was scared to sleep on the mattress. I thought like a saber-toothed crotch cricket was going to jump up and bite me or something. It was gross.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that, man. I mean, I had to go recover a truck. I get a student to drive it back to the terminal one time out in Wyoming. This guy had and take for granted, the guy had been sick, and he ended up having to get sent to the hospital, and then he went on home from there. And I realized he'd probably been laid there in that truck for several days. During this time, they were probably about 10 cups and jugs and anything that he could piss
Oh,
in
God.
was just
Jesus.
sitting all in the floor. Because I guess he was so sick he couldn't get out of the truck. And
Well, I mean, I've had food poisoning before. It's no fun.
yeah,
But you still clean the truck when you get better.
You throw a rattlesnake in that truck, he's gonna move. I don't care how sick you are. You're gonna, you could throw a bottle of pee away. That's no excuse to me.
Well, no, you're right, Mike. And you bet your butt, because I owned that truck. I scrubbed and Lysoled the hell out of that truck. You would have never known.
ain't doubt in my mind. But I mean, back to that kid there, and I feel bad for bringing that up on air about that, but and I just took him back to the terminal. I didn't dog him out or no, I wasn't going to do that to him. The kid could drive. He could drive his ass off. He just smelt. I mean, I was off for a week and a half during Christmas. And me and my wife went out there, and I mean, she was about to puke and everything else, damn surgical gloves on, trying to wipe that truck down, trying to get the sheets and stuff off the bed. Oh, my God. We had to leave the damn sleeper windows open and the windows cracked and still sprayed that truck down. Man, we deep cleaned that truck. Like
Febreze was not eliminating that odor.
Oh, Febreze wouldn't touch it. I mean, it was just horrible. And I just told the training dude there, I said, look, he can drive. I don't want to take away from his talent. He's a great driver, but I can't deal with the hygiene. I just can't.
Yeah,
And,
hygiene's that bad.
Yeah.
It's a big turnoff from wanting to train anybody else.
Right. And I trained people because I loved helping and training people. That's just my nature. That's who I am. And I've done it for years. I mean, hell, I trained Mike here, from Texas. I trained him, 11 years ago. He's a very successful owner-operator now, I remember the first time I told him it was time to go get him a truck, and I thought we was going to have to hog tie him down there to get the truck. He didn't want no part of it. But you're glad you did it now, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, back then, all I wanted to do was, I just wanted to make an honest living. And once I learned how to move the rig around without killing anybody, I was kind of satisfied. But then you did talk me into it, and I'm glad you did. Now I have a hard time being a company driver.
I've gotten really spoiled working where I work as a company driver. I told Stacey before, if I ever lost this job, I would probably have to go out and buy me another truck, because I don't think I could be a company driver anywhere else.
No. But I don't know. I'm kind of an asshole. I don't like being told what to do, and that's just bottom line. I just don't.
Yeah. I was, and for clarification, I was agreeing with the part of I don't like being told what to do too much either.
That's for sure. But, I train because I love to train. Now, did I put up with some shit? Yeah, you ain't kidding. I mean, I put up with some shit training. I mean, literally shit in my seat. But, you get some that just, man, you swear, man, why do I do this? I ain't doing this no more. The hell with this shit. Mm-hmm. Why do I put myself through this? And then you get one that's very successful that really listened and learned and questioned, and they wanted to learn. They were a sponge. Every piece of knowledge you had to offer, they were there to take it, and that's what made it worth the while. Is seeing the end results. Not everyone was as successful as the other. I mean, some are still company drivers, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. But I've never heard of any one of my students ever having a major, knock on wood, accident or hurting anybody. And that's what it's all about. You're going to make mistakes. I don't give a damn how good a trainer you had. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have little incidences or something from time to time here or there. So, it's this, you do the best you can and try to be as close to perfect as you can and just try not to get anybody hurt. That's the main thing, and these wrecks that we see out here time and time again, just killing people and everything else, and the U-turns, and especially the guys out here with the lack of training. And I guess I'm so tuned in on that is because that is a huge thing. That's something that I complained about even back in the day. I complained even about the schools and stuff that the companies that I would train for because I'd watch them. I mean, you tell them, hey, this person can't drive. They don't need to be turned loose. And they just undermine you and turn them loose anyway.
I've heard that a lot in the industry, man, and it's really sad to hear that. Of course, you got to wonder sometimes the truck driving schools themselves. I've checked into that thinking, oh man, that would be a great job to get me off the road. They don't pay shit. And, the ones I looked at don't. And that's kind of why I hate to say it. Maybe you're not getting the best training at some of them schools. Now, I ain't saying all schools are like that, but, that could be a very strong possibility. You get what you pay for sometimes.
They are some better schools than others. I've gotten over the years, back when I did train, we would have certain schools from here to there we would get students out of, and you could clearly see the difference.
Right.
That Roadmaster down in Jacksonville there, and they do pretty damn good. I mean, I've got some really good students out of Roadmaster down there. And there's a couple other ones that I've gotten some good students out of, Pennsylvania up there around Carlisle. There was a good school up there. I
heard that one was a good one.
I think that's actually where Mike went to here. But
the ones I checked into are Missouri.
I think it was AA Trucking over there. Yeah, that guy was pretty cool. I think he's the one that gave me my license. Actually, he could.
No, you didn't buy them.
He could actually sign off on you.
You didn't buy them, did you?
Huh?
You didn't buy them.
No, I didn't have no dough. I didn't have no money then.
I
got all my money when I started trucking. He was smoking them, what's it called, them big 100s.
Oh, Lord.
And he was lighting them right after one after the other.
I smoked for years. Lord. Honestly, I quit smoking while Mike was on my truck. So that's how long I've quit smoking.
Yeah, I just did quit smoking about a week before you did.
Yeah.
Took my last pack of cigarettes too.
That was the best thing I ever done was quit smoking.
You can't afford it nowadays. It's freaking $13 a pack of cigarettes. Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, smoking, it's rough. And I gotta say, I definitely feel better not smoking.
Yeah.
It definitely, there's times, man, I had said before, I don't want to quit smoking because I actually enjoyed it.
I used to enjoy it, yeah.
That was the best thing in the world, a cup of coffee and a Marlboro Red. That was the best thing in my head. Now I had to switch from a Marlboro Red and a cup of coffee to chewing gum and a cup of coffee. Got to have my damn chewing gum and my coffee. I don't know why. That's my thing now, but at least it ain't cigarettes. Chewing gum's a hell of a lot cheaper than cigarettes.
Yeah.
Even back then, smoking was expensive, and I can just imagine what it is now. It's just unreal.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's for
I don't think it's going up that much. I looked at a pack of cigarettes not to buy, but I was just curious. I'm standing there, and they were $7 a pack back then. 10 years ago, $5, $6, $7.
I think
New York, they were
states. Yeah, I was going to say certain states like New York for Marlboro, Newport. I heard they were 13 back when my stepfather was living up there, and he's a smoker, and my mom was complaining about the cost up there, and I said, man, I'm glad I gave it up because I was smoking a pack and a half a day. I used to similar to Stacey, I'd wake up in the morning, have my coffee, and I'd have a Camel 99, and then I'd smoke a pipe in the nighttime. I'd get done with dinner, and I'd sit there and enjoy me some cherry tobacco in my pipe and smoke a pipe outside and just relax. It was soothing. Enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to have a damn Marlboro Red to get my lungs started first thing in the morning, but I don't know. I'm glad I quit smoking. It was 10 years or better. It's definitely, better off.
Now when I'm out of breath, it's just because I've gotten older and I'm a little fat.
Well, we do drive trucks. I don't claim to be the sports specimen out here. I'm going to tell you that. I do try to live pretty healthy and try to stay on.
Here's a fun fact, a little blast from the past, like high school, right? So do you know in Texas, now I wasn't born in Texas, I'm sure y'all can tell by my accent, but in Texas, you can take barbecue as a class in school. You can take barbecue class in school, in high school.
No. Why the hell are they not offering this in other states?
Well, I think
Way to go, Texas. I applaud you.
where you're from there, Mike, in upstate New York, I don't think they know what barbecue is up there.
They call everything damn barbecue up there. They could grill a damn burger and they call it barbecue. I'm like, you do understand the difference between grilling and barbecuing. You
Right.
grill a steak because you're searing it. You barbecue ribs low and slow versus smoking where you're prolonging the smoke. I am not by no means a pit master, and I have very limited smoke experience, very limited. I know Stacey has mentioned prior that he smokes quite a bit and has sent me pictures, especially when I was on my diet fasting because he's an asshole, of some very good looking
It'll make
barbecue.
you change your religious beliefs.
Oh, I'll tell you what, boy. You know,
Mike's had plenty of my barbecue. I've got
Yeah.
taste tests right there now.
and see, I moved down to the South when I was a youngster, and we moved to North Carolina outside of Fort Bragg. And we had that vinegar-based pulled pork barbecue, and I fell in love with it. I love some Carolina barbecue. Living in Georgia now, you got some decent joints in Georgia, but it ain't the Carolina vinegar-based barbecue. And I've been down to Texas, and I've had that brisket out in Texas, and I mean, it's good. I've been to Kansas City, and it's okay, you know, and everything about I've heard them brag about that St. Louis barbecue. All I see is a bunch of sauce smothered on some meat, which ruins it for me. But hey, to each their own. I figured if you have to kill it with that much sauce, you must have done something wrong. But
Probably one of my biggest things with Kansas barbecue is them big short ribs, some beef short ribs out there.
God, they're so good.
That's what Kansas City
We
is.
called them pig sickles out there, man, because I lived
I
about
ain't talking about pig
70
sickles. I'm
miles.
talking about beef short ribs. Beef
I understand that, but
not
I'm it's
pig
what we
sickles.
just called. I understand that. And I said that's what we used to just call ribs out there were pig
Oh,
sickles.
pig sickles.
You know,
okay.
yeah, man, because they fall off the bone, make you want to just freaking gnaw on the damn bone like a dog.
Oh, my brother-in-law got me started on them short ribs. He lives down there in Houston. He got me started on them short ribs, man. That's a close, probably damn near a tie. There's some short ribs and a good ribeye steak. I'm telling you,
Oh yeah,
them short ribs, if you
I
do them
know.
right and get the right rub on them and everything, which, you know, talking about all this brings me to my next thing here. We're getting ready to start we're going to do it on the same thing here with the podcast, but we're going to start the Truckers Radio Podcast Lounge, where we're just going to conversate about things like this. Going to get a couple of guys and we'll set it up where I've got a number people can call in from time to time. And we're going to talk about things that we like to do when we're not in the damn truck, like barbecuing, football, things like that. You know, we're going to call it the lounge. We're going to run it in with the other episodes.
that
here
sounds like
little
a
bit,
great
too.
idea.
But I think that just kind of gets people's mind and psyche out of that truck. You know, you can get really down on yourself in that truck, you know, and I've got.
Well, you need a healthy balance. Take it
do.
from a guy that has been 3 months out on the road before he's went home, you know, and used to basically live out of a truck. Quite literally, I was homeless. I lived out of the truck.
Yeah.
And I'd get a hotel room here and there to get my shower just to get away from it for a second. But, you know, you need a healthy balance. And I think that's a fantastic idea, Stacey. I'm all for that.
Well, you know, it's the thing, because, you know, we are people besides truck drivers. You know, we have lives too. You know, we like football, or we like barbecue, or we like fish. But I think we're just going to start doing like some of the lounge episodes, the Trucker Radio Podcast Lounge. And we're not going to talk about trucking. We're going to talk about barbecue, grilling, things that we like to do as a human being that we like to do. And I think that'll do really well. I mean, I know a lot of people listen to the show and stuff like that. Let me know what you think. Just put it in the comments on whatever if you follow my YouTube or you follow my podcast, put it in the comments what you think about it. But this is one of the things that we're going to try to get done is start this lounge. And let me know. Put it on Facebook. let me know what you're doing. Send me a message on Facebook, put it in the comments, or post it on there. You know, if there's anything that we're missing, hey, you know, this is what we do. But
yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea. I mean, I could see that going very well.
Well, you know, for the counseling side of this and, you know, the coaching side, I help people and stuff with mental health and all that. You know, I see so many people get down in these trucks. You know, like I've said many times, you know, we live out here on the road in a truck a third of the size of a federal prison cell. And it don't take a whole lot to get into your head in that truck, especially with stuff going wrong at home. You know, your wife may be doing something that's not what she should be doing. We're going to leave it at that. You know, arguments, troubles with the kids. You know, we offer help for all of that. You know, we have the Sabren Group site. You know, all I have to do is go on there, sabrengroup.com. You know, look us up. You know, we offer all different sorts of counseling and stuff like that. We have some openings still. You know, we're not full plumb up, but, you know, we have quite a bit going on. We offer owner-operator consulting. We offer entry into trucking consulting. If you're thinking about getting into trucking, we can kind of help you step into trucking the right way. And it saves you a lot of time and headache. And you don't believe it or not, I make it very affordable. I still drive for a living. I don't have to make a ton of money, so I make it very affordable for everybody. You know, it's a lot cheaper to get help than it is to screw it up and learn the hard way.
Amen. The truth.
You know, I like
the steaks are expensive.
Hey, it just contributes to my carnivore diet. That's what I keep telling myself anyway. But yeah, the rate steaks is going here lately. I ain't been eating a whole lot of steaks. I've been eating a lot of cheaper stuff. I've resorted to.
Has anybody told you that red velvet cheesecake isn't carnivore?
Busted.
Yeah, I ain't been eating no red velvet cheesecake.
Well, you know what's coming. You know what holiday's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Busted. Anyone who knows Stacey knows about that red velvet cheesecake, boy.
I'm going to tell you, I like me some damn red velvet cheesecake. And I could give you one guess, 2-3 guesses of who got me started on that, too.
Yeah.
Mike from Texas there. He's the one who got me started on that daggone red velvet cheesecake. That's some good daggone cheesecake, I can tell you that. That little place out in New York over there. What's the name of that anyway?
Oh, yeah, Junior's in Brooklyn.
Cheesecake. Oh,
yeah.
They're a little pricey, but I'm going to tell you what. They're so good. They're very good. We got a lady here locally that makes some of the red velvet cheesecake. It ain't that good, but they still good. But hell, I'm talking about the price of ribeye and all that. Hell, I've resorted. I got 2 armed skillets on the smoker right now smoking me some damn meatloaf. I ain't even joking.
Yeah, I seen those earlier. You sent me some photos. They look good.
I think I'm going to post them on the Truckers Radio Podcast Facebook here directly. Give them a little taste of what we do when we're at home.
I know I got me some homemade beef tips, gravy, and then Salisbury steak homemade. I do a little bit of rice with mine, but I don't do minute rice. I do bagged rice. I take my time, cook it correctly. I'm a diabetic, so even with the rice, this doesn't raise my blood sugar too high. Key thing is the portions. So, you know, as long as you mix it in with a good meat base, you're pretty safe for the most part. If you're trying to lower that kind of stuff, you may want to cut back on it, though. Eat something with more fiber like broccoli. That will lower blood sugar. It's been proven.
I haven't eaten no rice in a long time. There's a rice pot in my kitchen full of rice around the clock. My wife's Asian, and I swear to God, if you took her rice away from her, she'd probably die. I mean, I don't understand it. They have to eat rice with every meal. It's just born in their DNA or something. You know, I love rice, but it don't do me no good to eat it. Not for my diet.
Well, I mean,
anyway.
You got to look at rice from an Asian perspective. When you go over there, not necessarily Asian American, you don't really see a lot of overweight Asians over there.
That's because
and that's solely
working.
because they're always working.
Yeah, because they're
and
always
they eat
working.
portion size meals of rice, which is a filler.
Yeah.
And that carbohydrate is what gives them energy. But they're also, like you said, they're working and they burn it off.
Right.
And if you walk around your truck and trailer several times, everyone's like, oh, that's so stupid. I used to think so too until I started tracking my steps. That's several hundred steps. But if you park it overnight, for example, or a truck stop for that matter, wherever you decide to park safely for the evening, and you walk around set destinations parking lot once or twice and track your steps, I mean, you'd be amazed how quickly you could put a mile or two in a day in doing so and stay healthy. And that's all it really takes, because we want to see you healthy out here. I know I do. There's a lot of people suffering from a lot of health problems because you're sitting in these seats for so long.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own sort of diet. Me, myself, I prefer the carnivore diet. I mean, that's what works best for me. Of course, you ain't got to twist my arm to eat a steak or barbecue or meat or any of the above.
Right.
I don't really eat a lot of sauce. I mean, if the meat's good, you really don't need the sauce, especially with a steak.
I agree there.
Especially
I think that should be a crime, personally. If you grill up a good ribeye or sirloin steak and you put any kind of sauce on it, personally, I think you should have your head examined.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been to that? There's a place out in Marlton, Arkansas. There's a small little Love's, got about 7 to 9 parking spots in it.
Where's this at, Mike?
That Love's, Marlton, Arkansas. Marlton, over on I-40, just a little bit west of Conway. Right across from that Love's is a place called the Marlton Drive-In, little barbecue joint. And I'll tell you what, I went in there and bought their barbecue sauce, just their sauce. They said, we don't sell it. I said, just put it in a cup like a Pepsi. I'll pay you whatever you want. And they did. They sold me some sauce. It had this pepper, like black pepper base to it. Man, I'll tell you what, that was some of the best sauce I ever had. No, not knocking Stacey's sauce. Stacey makes some good sauce. But that was some good sauce out there.
I think me and you found that little place over there, didn't we?
Huh?
That's what I think me and you found that little place over there, didn't we? A long time ago. So I think I just stopped there one time. Right outside of Little Rock.
Or maybe we met there.
Remember that first time we stopped there, you were in your truck. Yeah, you were already trained, and you were in your truck, and I was in mine. But we were running through there doing, I forget what the hell we were doing, but anyway, I got that catfish that time. Man, they got some
trucking
really
stuff.
Yeah, so they got some bad catfish. Oh my God.
Oh, I love me some catfish. My wife would not eat catfish. She would not eat catfish when I first met her. She was raised to basically she'll eat salmon and she'll eat trout, because her daddy always took her trout fishing up in the mountains of Georgia. And she's always been, loved to eat trout. And I said, you never had catfish out here, like out down deep south, like Mississippi and some of these other states. And I took her because we went out to Arkansas on a road trip one time. And I took her out to some of these places in the deep south there in Arkansas, and showed her where to get the best fried chicken and catfish bites. She fell in love with that after that. She was like, man, that is good. So I love me some catfish.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I love me some catfish. I was tasting some catfish a couple of weeks ago and still ain't ever got any good catfish. Got some other fish, but not a good catfish.
I'll tell you the best place I've ever tried catfish. I used to hate catfish. I've always been more of a, like a pike or a haddock guy, being from upstate New York. And then, and I've always liked ocean fish growing up in Carolina. We've had snapper and roughy and stuff like that. I always thought catfish was kind of grainy. So I went down to Meridian, Mississippi one day, and there was this nice little buffet down there. And this elderly black gentleman called me over. I said, what kind of fish is that? He said, that's catfish. I said, I don't want none of that. He said, why not? I said, because catfish is nasty. I don't like it. He's like, boy, I'll never forget this. He's like, you try some of my catfish. He's like, you don't like my catfish? I'll buy your dinner. I said, are you serious? He's like, yeah, I'm serious. I loaded me up some catfish, tried it, and I was like, by God, I do like that. And I use see, I told you.
Man, they got some good eating down in Mississippi.
Oh,
Man.
you ain't lying. He's like, where are you from? And I told him. He's like, well, that's why. Ain't nobody up there know how to make catfish. He's giving me a hard time.
He's
I'll
right
tell
about
you
that,
what.
though.
He ain't wrong. No, you're right, Mike.
There's a little truck stop down there, man. I can't even remember where in the hell it's even at. Now, I know it when I see it. But, hell, they got holes in the damn parking lot big enough to damn lose a truck in. But they got like a little,
Oh, my goodness.
little just comfort food buffet, good old Bayou. That, man, they got some of the darkest, best gumbo, seafood gumbo you ever eat in your life.
Oh, I love me some gumbo.
Now, I've had some good gumbo over the years. You know, Cash is over there on 10 or over the side of Baton Rouge. Then you got Frog City. I mean, you've got the Tiger.
Oh, Frog City is, you remember Gabe's out of Frog
Right.
City, right? The old chicken shack? That burnt down. I was about to shed a tear when I heard that burnt down. I used to go down there and get some fried chicken, some boudin balls.
Oh,
I heard it
boudin.
burnt down. I was like, man.
First time
couldn't believe it.
First time I ever bought any boudin, I had the wife with me there. Well, not the first time I ever bought any. First time she ever ate any boudin. I had the wife with me there one time, and she's like, and we've been through here how many times, and this is the first time you've ever fed me boudin. I said, yeah. And she wouldn't hardly talk to me for a day. She said, man, I got to have a boudin. Every time we go down through there, she had to have a damn boudin. I said, Jesus.
I got my wife with that out in Arkansas, and that was just a little chicken shack and a little gas station, I remember. And I said, pull over here. I remember this. She's like, you're kidding me. It's in a gas station. I said, just trust me. I said, down here, gas stations are different. I said, they throw out better seafood and barbecue than some of the restaurants back home.
Oh,
Boy,
you
I
ain't
tell you
kidding.
what.
You ain't kidding, man.
And
You done got my
I
mom.
got her some boudin balls and some fried chicken. Boy, she about did a backflip. It was so good.
No, I'm telling you. I am telling you. It was really good. But we got some good food all out here, all over the daggone country. Louisiana, I about found her every time I go through that state. And, Mike lives over in East Texas, so he's pretty daggone close to Louisiana.
It's got good boudin, I'll be honest with you. Like, just for a little truck stop, that TA over there in Greenwood. And I get their boudin all the time.
They had the boudin balls over there. They were pretty damn good, too. Yeah.
Yeah, they're spicy. I mean, they're pricey, but, they're pretty good.
I used to buy them out. When I go to that little chicken shack, they'd have like 10 of them. I'd buy them out. They're like, you want all of them? I'm like, you damn right I want all of them. I don't get these often.
Right.
I'd go out in the truck and get fat off of boudin balls, man. I'd tear them up.
That's for sure. Well, boys, I'll tell you what, we've had fun. I think we're about ready to wrap this up for another episode of the Truckers Radio Podcast. And
I had an awesome time. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
yeah, well, buddy, I'll tell you what, everybody tune in next time for the Truckers Radio Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Truckers Radio Podcast. We want to hear your voice. Send your questions and stories for our Q&A segment to thetruckersradio@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe at thetruckersradiopodcast.com. Stay safe, stay strong. Keep those wheels turning. Powered by Sabren Group LLC.